I try to connect the business to the technician, so there is still some connection in there. Sander promised you a quiz. I missed it a little, but ta-da! I got one. And I would like to, these are the 3 questions you find in this Menti. You can scan, of course, or fill it in. And I'm curious about how much you are familiar with these topics. In the meantime, I'll do my screen.
Do we have to fill them in now, or?
Yeah, that would be nice. Then, in the meantime, I can introduce myself. So currently, I'm working as a technical consultant. I have a lot of experience, probably not visible, but I do. I work at Infradax currently as a technical consultant, and I also own a company, kennisborging.nl. That's very handy for English or not native Dutch people to pronounce and to practice the Dutch. So that's part of it. Like I said, most often you're more interested or more busy with the technical side of things, and this is more about organizations, but you'll see it is very familiar with each other. Now, I asked you already to tell me something about this, about your experience. And if you've done your best, then it should be, yeah.
Working?
Oh, cool.
This 13 by 32, so that's about 1/3 does not know where to find the organization. That's quite a good score, because most people don't know, they are in an organization but don't know about the environment, who to talk to, what departments are there, and things like that. So that's a nice score, but still 13, that's have a little problem finding the way inside an organization. And the next question is, how much do you think you know about the organization structure? How you know how it's working, what processes are there? You see in the middle, nice, but still, and also a few which know everything about. That's the management, I guess. That's filled in. That's 100%. But most technicians will probably be on one of the other 3. And this also is the last question for now. Do you think you can contribute better? And as you see, most people do think when you know more about the organization, your contribution will be better, will be greater to the organization. As you know, this is where technology and organizations meet each other. Technology most used to support organizations. It's not their main business. So every now and then you have to translate technical things to the company. And of course, since it is a service and it should support the main business or the processes that are in the main business. So that's also why you have to know why. And you see it's not always easy to get that. And when you start a new organization, that's something I experienced a lot of time. When you start a new company, it always takes a little time, or maybe some even more, to get insight in the structure and processes. And I hope I can show you how to shorten the time and get things. So this is what I gained over the years. So I came at a company, and what's happening here? Where do I fit in? And it took me some time. And when I asked the customer, he throws a lot of data at me, but is that information? Or often it's very unstructured information you get about the organization. So I try to order that and first took a technical approach by layering, create a structure, look at some frameworks, we'll see that later. And finally I came up with a box model, and I will talk about that later on. And the second half of the presentation will be about the data and data storage. Organization, purpose and structure, just the basics. People and means put together. And things are happening. It's an organization. People are doing things, but why are they doing those things? They're selling things, making money. What's the basic understanding? And in the end, it's being valuable for others, providing to others, and that makes them sell things and make money. But how do they structure what they deliver to the environment? And that's inside the products and services a company can deliver. And normally they have a catalog about this product, over these products and services, which is structured, and you know exactly what to get and what you get and for how much. So a lot of companies don't have that or not as structured. I have another talk about that, but we won't be handling that. But remember, everything a company does is create a product or service at the end. And products may be similar, but they're always unique. And remember that. It's even in your case when you're doing some things. To give an example, when you have to travel far distance and you have little luggage, you can do that in several ways. But the difference or the experience between the Toyota Aygo and a Lamborghini is quite obvious, I think. So your experience will be similar, but still unique. Sometimes it's not that obvious. You write programs, others write programs, but sometimes you have to convince the customer your code is the best. And they need you to do this job, and not somebody else. So it's not always obvious, but your product is always unique. And use that. On these products and services always have life cycles. They start up, they are developed, they are functional, they may be upgraded. We'll see that in a moment. But in the end, they go through a life cycle. And all processes inside a company are always related, directly or indirectly, to this products and services life cycle. Not only the product itself, which is obvious, most people think of producing a product, but also the support is one of the things process can support. And the size of organizations, as you probably know, that can vary, but even you are an organization yourself. And your products and services might be in your CV, but still, that's what you deliver to your environment. So you are a company. And you get them many sizes, but the smallest, I think, is you. Let's take a little look at the products and services, what you can expect. I just mentioned a few, but in life cycle, first you develop a product or a service, and then the production starts, it gets realized, you sell it, you bring it to the customer, support it, monitoring, everything. And this goes for every product and every service in your organization. If it doesn't, then if there's a process that doesn't support that, one of these life cycles of the product, then it's probably a process that's not needed in the organization. For instance, take an example, the coffee machine is absolutely delivering, and it's absolutely essential for delivering products and services. But it's not, this one is obvious, I know. I created, to make things visible, I created a box model, I put it together from bits and pieces I found everywhere. First of all, a process is a sequence of individual steps. That's probably not something new, I'm telling you. But initially, these steps lead to a product or a service. The problem is when you are in a big organization, there are too many details. So you get lost in the details. So we can put some actions in, can be isolated. For instance, I say painting things yellow can be, you can look at someone painting things yellow. You can also put a box around it, put a label on it. This is painting yellow. So you don't have to look at the mechanics inside. There's only one problem: when you have more actions and you put them together, you will get more and more labels outside the box, because it does paint yellow and red, and you get a lot of labels. So it scales very bad. Then the other thing is, you can look at this one. Oh, one way. But you also, that's thinking inside the box. You can also think outside the box, and that's what this is about. You can see every process step as a box. You can put it. You start with initial state, end with the result. Something is, in my example, painted yellow, but that's not done by itself. Some knowledge and skills goes in, and it needs resources. It needs paint. It needs brush, things like that. So if you put the process in these kind of blocks, it makes things easier to see, better overview, simplify things, and this scales a lot better than just piling up boxes and putting more labels on the boxes. So this model you can use in any size, depending on what you want to describe. It can scale up, scale down. You can start with this painting step and write more and more steps, like I just showed you in the animation. But it can also be done the other way. You can start at a whole company, look at the interfaces, and then start by making departments and so on, and make it smaller, smaller, smaller. So it's very easy to use this for bringing things into view. You do it by starting with big chunks, like I said, making smaller chunks, but start thinking big. And this helps you to keep overview and focus, because when something doesn't belong in the chunk you're working on, you can skip that information. You don't need to look at that information, because that's only distracting. So it helps you to keep focus. And you just had a presentation, and this doesn't only work for organizations. Software development, APIs, you see interfaces, it's all in the outside of the box. So thinking outside the box helps you to keep visibility, and to gain visibility in organizations. Now, here's where, when you start at a new organization, what are possible sources? And I've just put them on the screen in one below. Because you can ask around, what's happening here? Maybe there are working instructions doing things this way. But of course you can, if that's available, you can look at the products and services a company is making. So look at that catalog if it's available. The company may be ISO certified. So 27000, 27001. There must be documents. So search for them and paint a picture with that information. Might be a knowledge system. I created one, but that I'll talk about in another talk. But some companies have knowledge systems where everything is put together. And also any company that's busy with is mature enough will have a business continuity and disaster recovery plan, in where is a lot of information, or should be a lot of information about the essential processes of the thing. And if that doesn't work, you have the last resort, and that's reverse engineering. Any questions so far about this, or is it quite clear?
Is the box model something you create for yourself?
Sorry?
Is the box model something you create for yourself, or do you create it for the organization?
You can create it for the organization. I'll come to that in a moment about documentation, but keep the box in mind, because that helps you to focus. And that's why I started out with the box. Because documentation, we all love it, of course, so can't wait to start with it. Again, the big and the small chunks, so shifting and sorting the information you get. like I told you, keep focus, see what's inside the chunk, what's outside. And there probably will be some tools. Now, the first ones, for the ones who are really creative, can use the paper and crayons, but there are also some other people who thought about it. One of them is the Open Group. They got the architecture framework. They're already at version 10, so I'm not sure. Did anybody hear about TOGAF before? That's only a few. And now, TOGAF, we'll see more about it. And Archimate is a tool based on TOGAF, which is to draw things. So the framework is TOGAF. The Archimate is the tool accompanying it. This is the full TOGAF model. It's an architecture change management tool. It's about changes. But when we start off and you start with a blank, you only need to inventorize because you have nothing. You can have nothing to put changes in because you don't have anything. So for inventory, you go to the architecture definition part only because that will give you a starting point. From there you can see where to improve, and that's the A to B factor. Whenever you start improving some things, you first have to know where you come from, where you want to go to. If you don't know where you come from, you probably won't end up where you want to be. So start inventory and use the architecture definition. In Archimate they have a lot of layers accompanying this TOGAF environment. Look at the 3 of them later, but the most important is the core TOGAF, the Archimate core. This allows you to write up or to document processes inside an organization and how they are scattered over those layers. These are 3, version 3, there's another layer added, but in general, what does it look like? This is what it looks like. Here you can see my databases or the platforms, technology, so to the business application, in the end, the services delivered to the customer, the front end. So it's easy to document. This is the layered view, but there's also a modeling language inside Archimate, which can help you to make these kind of diagrams. So you can see what the dependencies are. What if this database goes down? Which processes are hit? Things like that. So it's very useful to have this kind of diagrams. And this tool, can assist you. It doesn't make these for you, but it can assist you. So, any questions about this?
Yeah, when would I use this, and when would I use something like UML?
Depending on, this is, I think, is wider, especially because that's the next few layers. There's management layers in here because I talked about the inventory, but it's a change management model. So it's not, the inventory is only the base. And once you have inventorized, you can look at the other layers, the motivation layer, which helps you to make a business case. Why should I make this change or shouldn't I? And also, what's my strategy on these processes? And I think that's not in UML. The UML is describing inventory, okay, that's fine, but this also goes even to the implementation and migration. So it supports the complete package. Any other questions?
This is not so applicable for small companies.
No, it can be. It can be for small companies too.
Expensive.
Not directly. No, you can, like I said, big chunks, small chunks. You can also look at smaller boxes for smaller companies.
Archimate is very expensive.
Okay. You can always take away. You can take away the thought of Archimate. Yeah. So it helps you to structurize, to focus, and that because the box model is nice, but this really gives you more vision. And this is another one. It allows multiple disciplines because the business layers understand this too. So you can work together. Technicians and organizations can work together to make the picture complete. That's, I think, very interesting. That's again connecting business to technology. And it's especially interesting for you because you are in a position to determine, initiate, and make changes. You write a lot of code, but often you need a lot of input to write this code. What does the customer want? Which process is supported? Which product should be there at the end? So, and you can see, okay, this is not happening, this is not going fine. And you say, okay, company, this has to make a change, and that's where the motivation comes in. Company, this is what it will cost you, but then again, this will be the benefit. Yeah?
Your experience between event sourcing, sorry, not event sourcing, event storming and event modeling, because that is also a language which a lot of business people can speak. It's simple. The whole business understands. This is a little bit technical.
Yeah.
I always have a fight with the direction of the lines.
Okay. Yeah. Now that's a framework we'll talk about later, but I haven't taken into consideration. I'm not aware of yet or not used that yet. So I always use this stuff. So but we'll talk later. Next part of the talk is about data governance, organizing an inventory of data. Why should you organize your structured data? Because I buy a bigger hard disk and put data on it and everybody's happy. So why should I organize it? I got search engines, I got AI, so nothing says why I should organize them. Look at qualification, classification, storage, and process connections. Why governance? It's defined against search. Because, like I said, you have a search engine, but if you put in a search query, you get nothing back. What's happening? Did you put in the wrong query, or is the data not there? And there might be a difference. And that's the difference between finding and searching, and you can see it in the logo. In the logo, you can see there's a framework, and inside the framework, there's data. There can be much data, can be little data, or there can be no data. And still, that's information. So I don't have to look any further because there is no data. I have to create it or whatever, but I don't have to look any further. And you search, you might do 10 searches and say, okay, it probably isn't there. Also the quality. Is it complete? Is it usable? And again, how's the life cycle? Is it old data? Is it new data? And especially that is for AI, what's later on. It gives better and safe results, but it doesn't take in the old data. And the safe part is because you can secure structured data better than unstructured data. About security, you can look at the CIS, Controls version 8. It's all about data loss protection and things like that. So it's a bit too much to talk about here. And like I said, it's maintainable. You have a life cycle, you've got all data. In the US, since a few years, you have to have a report on your data quality, data strategy every year. Department of Labor, Department of Commerce. If you have the presentation afterwards, under the example are a few links to these departments, American departments, and they have to deliver every year, especially what data do they have and where do they have it. So that's something coming up, and that only can work, of course, with structure. Any questions so far? Then data qualification. To qualify data, you can use different strategies. You can look at it different ways. First of all, data can have multiple relations. It can, as you can see, the products and settings, data can be many of these things. So you can put multiple labels on the data to qualify it. And you can do that by the kind of data. You can have data about the products, about the settings, security, organizational data, anything that's there. And as you know, the General Data Protection Regulation also says when you have personal data, you have to be very careful with it. And so you have to put it in a different store. We'll see that later. One of the organizational things that are currently hot topic is master data. And that's the data you need for your company to keep working. So to store, to make sure you have a backup, things like that. You can also put a label on it, who's the owner. You have to be a responsible person for every piece of data you have. Otherwise, nobody's going to look at it and going to handle it or update it or whatever. Where to store? It can be that documents or data has two kind of pieces of information. It can have settings and products, or it can have security data in it. Sometimes you have to split up in order to be able to label the data the right way, data or the documents. Completeness we already added, and also the data urgency, which is often overlooked. It's a business continuity and disaster recovery. What's the impact if this data is unavailable? How long can it be unavailable? How much data can I lose or not? So this is a very important label to put on your data. And there will be more, but qualifying is mostly what kind of data it is, what kind of information is it. And there's also a classification of data. And that's more about the security or the sensitivity. Is it secret, top secret? Who can look at it? So that's a different kind of way. Once you have specified, you can have a product data. That's for everyone, that's the manual. And you have something that's about development. And there's a difference in security, but it's still related to the same product. Sometimes you have to access and monitor who's the accessing the data, because you have to have logs for your company, or especially data that's very sensitive. Is there an audit required? Should there be a log of things happening? Also, you can secure data in two ways. You can put it away in a safe place, in a safe location, or you can also put DRM on it, data rights management, and then you put it on the document itself. So it travels with the document. So there's two ways to make sure the access is only for people that need it. And the retention, as you know, not all data can be stored forever. So that has to be classified. That's absolutely something about security, personal data, things like that. And also it has consequences. We just saw the API, and this, when data is sensitive, the program or the processes and using this data should be classified the same as the data. So if you have a process step which is doing something with personal data, you have to make sure this is a very secure piece of code. Data storage, probably things that speak for themselves. It has to be a good home. It has to be a roof. It cannot be outside, because then your data is for everyone to have. You can put a house on top of it, over it, and then make sure it doesn't get rain on it. But then again, you'll have to put some locks maybe on your door of your house too, to make sure not everybody comes in. And you can also have a vault in your house for your jewels, and we'll see that a little bit later. So it has to be firm, robust. It has to have restricted access. Not everybody must have the key, of course, and that's the identity and access management. So a data storage should have something that supports identity and access management. Also, it would be nice if there are multiple security areas. So you can put everything in the vault, or you can put everything on the shelf for everyone to get. But most companies, there's a difference between the crown jewels and the stationaries. So the pens are probably not in the vault. In general, in the end, there must be some general management for this data. So I talked about the life cycle. So that has to be supported by the storage. So there must be a possibility to have versioning for the continuous improvement. That every time there's a new version, something new data. And maybe about the rating. Is it complete? Is it great data? Is it not so good? So if the storage allows you to mark data as a certain state or a certain quality would be nice. Supporting life cycle, as I mentioned. Who's responsible for which piece of data, and so on and so on. So there's a lot of things you can think of what the data storage should support in order for your data to be secure at the level it should be. Then, apart from the storage itself, there also have to be a structure in the data itself. You have to shift and sort the data, and you have to put it in a certain location somewhere. You have to find the storage, like I said, the vault or the shelf somewhere else. And you can do that based on access, and these are options. You can also do that, so you can, like I said, the DRM, you can put the save in a location, or you can put DRM on it. You can define which area this data should be. And there's also something about data orientation. Data orientation, if you look at a product or a service, you have a project or product mostly goes over multiple departments. So development has something to do, invoicing has something to do with it. So you can say it's a horizontal data. Vertical data is more the department, invoicing department, technology, and so on. So that's also a way you can shift and sort the data on. And like I said, the data kind, is it product related, is it security related, or what? And again, the classification of the code follows the data. So when you fetch data, or when you have a piece of code that fetches data, don't fetch too much. And the Graph API really supports that. Only taking the data you really need. Because whenever there's sensitive data gathered by this piece of code, the code itself is also classified the same way, or the same level. And like I said, also with the splitting up documents, you can split up the code, so you can, the pieces that have classified information, you can make them smaller and more robust. Put a different maintenance scheme on it. So, what I hope you can take away and do, first this. Once you know how we inventorize the situation, you know now exactly what the processes are in the organization, how they fit together, how the dependencies are. When the database goes down, I know exactly which processes are hit. So I know what's the ideal situation. And when you look around, you'll probably see it's not that ideal yet. So there's a gap, and you will have to close that gap. And there's where motivation comes in. So when you see something that should be bettered, should be improved, you have to sell it to the business. You have to make a business case for it. This is what it's going to cost you, but in the end, this will be the revenue, this will deliver. But then again, there may be so much changes you see, that you have to prioritize, of course, because you can't do them all at once. Mostly the prioritization is best done by risks and rules. Risks in the way of how much risk is there that somebody breaches my data, so that's one thing. And rules, that's our government rules. They say, okay, you should use this data this way, so or we should store it this way, and this tray is coming. So that's all kind of things that you have to put your prioritization on, otherwise you'll miss that one and you'll get a big fine on this. And in the end, when you have everything in place, you can optimize your data. You can see, okay, I have to split this document and I will put it somewhere in a certain place, and I know exactly where, qualifying and classifying, so I know exactly where to put it, so I take it away and put it somewhere else. There's only one thing: if you just lift and shift, you just put it somewhere else, there's something going to happen. Probably the the company is coming to a grinding halt if you don't leave a link at the old location. So you can move data, but always leave a link at the source. So not everybody is empty-handed, and like I said, the organization comes to a grinding halt. And like I said, the example of the logos, empty spots can be okay. If you find an empty spot and say, okay, clearly we don't have this data, can be okay, because do you need this data? Is it valuable? But you know it's an empty spot, but you can be happy with it. So it's not demanding you to fill the complete model. Yeah, almost. And of course, yeah, you can do a lot of things, but you have to measure, because am I in control? Yeah, of course I'm in control. But do you think you are in control, or do you know you are in control? And that's two different things. So you have to measure your data, your processes, see if that works fine. And for that, you can use maturity models. So you can see if your data storage is up to date, is mature enough. So most of those models have 5 levels. So you can see if your company, how it compares to others. And for that, you can use assessments. You can use an assessment to see where you are at this moment and compare it to this maturity model, and with that to other companies. You can also see what's the gap between your current maturity model and the next one. You also can have audits, so especially ISO audits are 27,000 ISO. Show others you have your things in order, you have everything nice and shiny. So you don't have to let them all in and see, okay, this is it, but you can have an audit, and so others can be assured you have a very good company, very neat, clean, everything in order. So measure is very essential. And so this ending, what are you aware of capable now? Probably, or at least aware, I hope. So you are aware, it's always about products and services. There's a catalog, and there's a life cycle on every product and every service, and it has to be supported from inside the organization. You've seen the box model for scaling. You can think inside the box, you can think outside the box, and outside the box gives a lot of freedom to scale. Also, you can put things in chunks and keep focus. So whenever data isn't in the chunk you're working on, just skip it and use that for another time. Put it in the other chunk, and whenever you get there, you can use that. You can look at that data. Data governance, structured and secure, and also data lifecycle is you're aware of now. When you make a change, like I said, leave a link. Don't let the company hang around or hanging about, just not knowing where the data went. And you say, okay, but it's all in order and it's all good. And the organization maturity, get in control, stay in control, and this helps you to grow your company. And I really hope you put all these insights into practice, not only helping yourself, but this structure can also help others in complex environments. Sometimes you come at a customer and they probably not know exactly what the environment looks like, and you can help them with this knowledge to structure their thoughts and help them structure their data. And you can show your extra value with this knowledge. Please do. That's the presentation for now. So